Hi guys, welcome back. It's Mrs. Peterson, that lady who teaches art. And today I'm going to show you how to sketch out your lines for your layered landscape that we will create with monochromatic watercolor next class period. So the first thing I want you to do is look at both sides of your paper, and if there's a side that has more of like a smudge on it, that can become your back. You're going to write your first name, last initial, and your class. So for O, if you're in Miss O'Malley's class, or for D, for H, whoever your teacher is, and then flip it back to the front. Okay, I'm going to do my paper up and down. We call this portrait, just so that it's easier for me to have room for my layers. If you want to do it the other way, that's up to you, but it could be a little bit harder because you'll have very skinny layers. So just want to give you that option. And then the first thing I want you to do is you are going to draw 4 lines across your paper. So we can't really put one right in the middle. We need to put it a little bit above the middle. So if I find the middle of my paper approximately, and then I draw a line above that, and it doesn't have to be perfectly straight, just kind of giving myself some areas. And you can make your lines pretty light. So I should have 2, and then 1 below that, and 1 below that. So I need to give myself 4 lines across. So one more time, I find about the middle of my pencil, do 1 line a little bit above that and a little bit below that, and then do 1 splitting up this space and do 1 splitting up this space. So now I have 5 lines. Then you're going to take a look at your reference photo. You do not have to do it exactly like it's done in your reference photo. Reference just means I'm looking at it for reference. So in my reference photo, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 lines, which is great because I have 4 lines here. But yours might have more or less. And if that's the case, then you can choose how you want your lines to go. So I'm going to start from the top of this one. And this line right here, I'm going to kind of copy it. But I want you to think about it growing out of this line as if this is the ground. So if these are like hilly mountains, all my whole line is going to kind of be above the hilly mountains. And then when I'm done with that line, I can take my eraser and I can erase the line I gave myself at first, because I won't need that when I go to watercolor. So there's my first line. My next line in my reference photo has a bunch of buildings in it. So I'm going to draw those buildings, and sometimes there's like space in between them. Draw this one. And like I said, it doesn't have to be exactly like those buildings. You're just using this as a reference. So you can make it how you would like it. Okay, then on this one, I think the easiest thing to do is erase the line that's like under the buildings, but we need this part of the line because I'm still going to paint up to that line. So where the buildings are touching the line, we'll erase that. So that it's easy to just paint right up into those. Okay, my next line has more of like some mountainy type lines. It goes way up, so I really don't need this line. And then my last line just has like a gentle rolling hill. So if you choose a reference photo like this, these ones are pretty easy because you can see the layers are all separate. There's not really anything that overlaps the other lines. Some of the reference photos, however, are not like that. So I'm going to show you a couple other examples. Okay, another option might be that your reference photo looks something like this. And so again, you're going to start with your 5-ish lines. And you may want to start from the bottom this time if this is the reference photo you're looking at. So my bottom line down here, it has some really big trees growing out of it. And I'm just going to make that first big tree. And then it kind of has like a little tree coming out of it. And then this comes down and has the barky part. It goes like that. Over here, there's another little tree, and on mine, it's going to get cut off. And then here, I have a big tree connected to another big tree. Comes down. Okay, so then these lines that are through my trees are going to be no more. because this is all going to get painted that dark shade of black when I get there. So when I paint black, I would paint all the bottom and up into these trees. So next I'm going to look at the next darkest shade. And on mine, it goes all the way from behind these trees up to here. And on my sketch, I have the line right here, which is just fine. And I'm just going to make like smaller, medium-sized trees. And then on those, I would paint the dark blue in this little triangle area right here. I would paint the dark blue here up into this tree. Oh, and I could probably get rid of this line. And I would paint the dark blue right in this little chunk and the dark blue up in here and into this little tree. Then my third line, I'm going to have it's kind of like a little hill actually. So I'm going to make it kind of hilly. And then there's little tiny trees way back there. And then just kind of hilly. So I'm going to erase the line that I gave myself originally where I don't need it. And then the light blue shade will come up into these. It'll be around the dark, around the black, around the dark, and up into these little trees. And then over here as well. All right, then my last little bit, I can pick. I have a couple different lines. I have this light line and this light line, but I only need one more in mine. So I'm just going to kind of make it like the mountains that they have. And then I'm going to erase this. When I go back to paint, I will leave it white up here. It'll be light blue in this area all around these trees. And then a medium blue, dark blue, and then black. Okay. Another option is if you want to, like I said, you get to choose if you want your paper to go up and down or side to side. If you chose this for your reference photo, I probably would put my paper side to side so that I could get those layers overlapping. And if I look here, this one kind of comes down, goes up, and then that would be the black that I would paint. I would paint my dark shade right into there. I would paint my next shade right there. And then my light shade would be right here, just in this little area. And this would stay right around white around here. All right, you guys. So there's some options of how we're going to get it sketched out. And then next class, we'll come back and paint these. I can't wait to see what you create.